We are live.
We're here.
Lost a couple of you, but I hope you come back. I'm going to tap into the Force, let you know we are live. The Force is with me. I am one with the Force. Find your center. Come find us again. Woo! Holly,
Michael.
live is always stressful.
Is
Am
it?
I right?
This felt a lot less stressful than...
Is it because I was prepping an hour prior?
No, I don't think so. I think it
No?
just was a little less stressful.
Less stressful? Because we're getting better at the live thing. It happens every 3 months or something.
Yeah, that's why
like
we lost a like and we
I
lost
lost a
viewer.
like. Hey, when you tell folks 9 o'clock and it's 9:10, people don't have time. They gotta celebrate Star Wars. I totally get it. But with live, we're not professionals, Holly. Maybe it's the alcohol running. I don't know. I don't know. But Luke, you finished that episode, right? I wasn't rushing you too much.
Well, yeah, everyone can blame me. I was the one who was down to the wire watching the episode, but I'm wired too. I've had
Let's go.
3 cups of coffee today, a Wolf's Ridge daybreak with dinner, which is a coffee-infused cream
Yeah.
ale. So I don't know how much caffeine makes it through to the beer, but good to go.
Holy moly. Yeah, that sounds delicious. Some uppers, some downers. We don't know where Luke's going to be in the next 45 minutes.
Oh my God, the ceiling probably.
You think?
I don't know.
Crazy. Well, I'm to the ceiling right now, and it's because we've watched twice now, Holly, the final episode of Clone Wars. Luke, I presume you only watched it that once.
Yes,
Just
and
that
I finished
once.
about 3 minutes ago.
Well, guys, it was as epic as we had anticipated. But I want to go to Luke first. It's fresh on his mind. I mean, moments ago he finished phrasing. So if
Wow.
Luke, this is pretty much a reaction for you. I mean, we could just film it as that.
Exactly, yeah. It's hard to put into words. I'm used to watching these 2 and 3 times before we talk about it and making some notes and sort of letting my thoughts percolate a little bit. So this is really raw. I think it wasn't as impactful as the last episode until the last couple minutes.
Yeah.
Where the emotions really kicked in, looking at the relationship with the clones and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And then the Vader connection at the end. I don't even know what to make of it all.
Yeah. Yeah, Holly, I might have lost you, Luke. I might cut you off.
No, I need some of your thoughts to kind of bounce off of and work with. So go for it.
They're gonna
This party
pour
started.
out. Yeah, Holly, we got to watch it twice, right? And the first time was midday lunch hour. So I mean that was hard to get into Clone Wars during a work break. I never want to do that again. But what did you think right off the bat?
Honestly, which probably is an unpopular opinion, I kind of was actually a little bit disappointed. I felt like I don't know. I just kind of felt like this whole escape scene is kind of dragging on, and this is nothing like what I thought we were going to see.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get to see. I don't really feel like I got any closure, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah, no, I totally understand that, and that's kind of how I felt. I think my first viewing, I was like, wow, like you said, that escape scene was really long, and I thought we were gonna get a little more time with Ahsoka and Rex and see kind of not exact. I'm not talking about where are they now, like in Rebels, how we kind of jump, years down the road, which I mean we did, but we also got a little more story of where's everyone now. It was kind of like the end of a I don't know, a freaking reality series or something, but. After a second viewing, it kind of made a little more sense to me, and I think it's because, I don't know, because it is the ending, you expect it to be a little more jam-packed, but I like that the escape scene was a little more intense and a little more drawn out now, more so after a second viewing, because escapes in Star Wars are always just at the snap of a finger. It's wow, they got a shuttle and they escaped. Okay, which is what I expect, which is why I thought, Maul's just going to get on that shuttle and escape. But this was way more complicated, and it makes it And the whole story. I mean, I didn't even think about it really when I was speculating on what was going to happen in this episode. But what's going to happen to all this part of the 501st that doesn't we don't really see them later on, and we don't hear much about them. And this kind of just took us to their end point. They're all gone now. And it made it that much more impactful that like she witnessed them all perish, Rex and Ahsoka, and they buried them all. Like that's crazy. We assumed she wouldn't kill any of them, but like she still took it upon herself to go and bury each and every one because she had that connection with them. To me, it made much more sense after, and I like that it wasn't just they got away and like Maul just kind of he got away. But Luke, did you have any of those feelings to begin with? That did it draw out a little for you? I mean, you said it wasn't as emotional as the last episode, but anything you think they could have done better? Or was it just right?
Yeah, all the thoughts are starting to come to me now. So thank you for getting things rolling. I think, like Holly kind of was saying, I was probably a bit affected, and this is why your speculation and your expectations are dangerous, and you kind of have to let them go.
Yeah.
I was expecting, we talked about the other night, last night, about, what's going to happen when they get to Coruscant. Yeah. And like, that's going to be really cool, and let's see how they deal with that, because it's going to be a mess there when they get there.
Yeah.
So I think first viewing, I'm getting over that. That didn't happen. Maul takes out the hyperdrive. Okay, we're not going to Coruscant. So I think that kind of lessened my enjoyment of the first round, having that anticipation of that taking place in the episode, and then it not. So now you're readjusting. And so I think I'm really going to enjoy it a lot more on the second and third viewings. And what you were starting to get about the rest of the 501st group that they're with, that they end up burying by hand, it appears. It really, I think, heightened Rex's breakthrough. To see the rest of them were so utterly consumed by their chip, by their orders, that they were willing all to die, all to perish with the ship crashing, as long as it meant they stopped Ahsoka, they killed Ahsoka as well. So to me, it added to the amazing act that Rex was able to at least fight against that enough to not just kill Ahsoka right away. Yeah. And then, like we talked about, to connect with her through the Force in the chanting of "I'm one with the Force is with me," to help locate his chip and remove it. I think that was not totally passive by Rex. I think that was, again, Rex sort of resisting the programming and breaking through it. So it was a great way to highlight that.
Absolutely.
That uniqueness of Rex and what he achieved.
It's funny. Nettie just quoted you there, and he said, "This is not going to go the way you think." And that's what we should expect. Yeah. And we've been talking about it every episode of this arc, that it's not going to go the way you think. And reading the description of the episode, they're going to have to get through some stuff to, run for their lives. But man, it was an epic scene. I mean, it was even opening. I mean, you have Anakin's kind of, I don't know exactly what theme it is, but it's just like his downfall, and the theme itself almost matched that identically. And then it kind of, there was I don't know, towards the end of it, it kind of was a higher pitch than I haven't studied music in many a decade, but it almost matched it exactly. And it was just, it's like, this is it. Like, we are really bleeding in here to episode 3. So I thought that was a really great way to start off. And then you have another Star Destroyer, right? Or whatever we call the Republic's giant cruisers.
Yeah, that works.
Coming down in a fireball, just like in Revenge of the Sith. It really was tying in nicely. And I feel like, oh my God, like, are we going to crash here on Coruscant? Is there a runway somewhere that we can put this thing down? That is a gripe I have with Revenge of the Sith. Why do you need a runway? Everyone has these, like, upward lift, vehicles, even just the civilians do. So why do we need a runway? Jeez.
No Star Wars hate
here. Got a C-130 coming in and landing down there. No Star Wars hate. It just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense to me. But so that definitely drew out longer than I thought it was going to. But I did like what Rex said. It was one of my favorite lines of the episode, was that, like, Ahsoka, like, they're gonna stand there and they would rather die preventing us from getting away than anything. Like, this is what they're programmed to do, is to win and to succeed, and this is their mission, and they're gonna do that. I thought that was really powerful. And there's Ahsoka, just the truest of all Jedi. I will not be the one that's gonna kill them. If they're gonna die, it's not gonna be by me. So Holly, any feelings coming out of that moment, or was it really just the end that you're gravitating towards?
I don't know. I think it's really just the end that I'm gravitating towards. I don't know.
No,
I think I just have a very unpopular opinion. I was not very impressed with, the first probably 15-minute, or I don't know. I don't even know how long the episode was. Maybe even the first 20 minutes of the episode. I was just kind of like, this is how we're ending it with like.
Hey, I was willing to be the first to come out and say, guys, I had problems with the first half, maybe the first 3/4 of it. However, Holly, you are forgetting a very, very emotional part where I think you even covered your eyes when our hero droids.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that.
Step up and make a sacrifice. Okay, we've seen droids make. I mean, K2SO, yes, but these guys stepped up. Ahsoka's like, this is gonna be dangerous, kind of like K2, but they actually get captured. They put their hands up and they get eliminated.
Yeah,
they're just assassinated around the spot. Holly, what was that like?
It was terrible. It was traumatic. I am literally scarred for life. I just what is wrong with you? When do we ever see? I mean, you made the K2 point, but other than K2, how many other times are the droids it's execution? How many times do we see them be executed like that? Usually it's, okay, what?
No, I was going to say, that's another reason why I kind of like this episode, because just like in every other Star Wars, escapes just happen like that, no consequences. Everyone finds a shuttle somehow and gets away, or they find, like Rebels. Rebels is notorious for just random. I love Rebels, is one of my favorite Star Wars products of all time. But there's just random shuttles. We get clearance codes. We get all this gear. But with this, it's just like in any other Star Wars, we're gonna reprogram these guys. No, execute them on the spot. They're helping the enemy. Well, I thought that was more real than anything.
The droids don't really, the droids. Oh my god, the clones don't really have any reason to repurpose a droid. But I don't know. The little dude put his little droid arms up and he surrendered, and he still got executed, and that bothered me. That bothered me more than probably everything else.
Everyone else going down in flames.
I mean, probably be rebuilt. I mean, R2 got blasted pretty good in A New Hope, and they shined him up real quick for the medal ceremony.
I know.
From the ashes, maybe they'll rise like a phoenix, Yeah. Maybe.
The Phoenix droid.
I don't know. But also, I mean, there was another moment that was a huge wow factor. Maul, commandeers the shuttle. You're like, wow, how the hell are they going to get off this now? Are they going to literally just... I felt like Ahsoka was just going to just jump out of that hangar and try to, sans jetpack or parachute and try to land on this moon somehow. But Maul is trying to get away, and she uses the Force. We do not see Force power that often in Star Wars. And we saw with Rey, which I thought was very surprising, but that kind of power often, I mean, you see it with the Emperor, you even see it with Dooku, but on the light side of things, I mean, you don't typically see that kind of power. Luke, am I wrong? I mean, were you surprised that she's holding this freaking shuttle, by herself?
Yeah, definitely the first, thought that came to mind when you see that image and that starts to play out in the episode is Rey and Kylo.
Yeah.
In Rise of Skywalker. So that was a nice connection there, and to see how strong she is to do that. Like Yoda says to Luke on Dagobah, judge me by my size, do you? It's not about how big something is, or how fast it is.
Yeah.
If you, and like Luke said in that Kylo Ren comic book, you have to be open to the Force, and as much as you open up yourself to it and let it, more of it flow through you, kind of the more that you can do. So just to see that Ahsoka is that connected, that in tune with the Force to be able to pull something off like that. And ultimately, she like acquiesced and let him go because it was probably going to mean Rex was going to get shot, and then she was going to get shot in the back if she kept doing it. Not that she couldn't, but she just like, okay, this isn't the fight to win. Save Rex, save myself for another day.
Exactly.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think that Michael and I kind of talked about this earlier, and like Maul still got away, and then when she was trying to pull Maul back,
Maul back.
Are
you drinking one tonight? Is that what's happening?
When she was trying to pull Maul back, that was my North Carolinian accent.
Wow,
Luke.
I nailed it. Seth is impressed.
Her droid gets shot.
Oh,
I can't.
know.
I'm sorry. I just can't let it go.
Can't watch a droid go. It's sad.
I was like, is it everything going on around them? And was it worth it to let Maul go? Or like to let him out of his...
Yeah. No, that's a regrets. I mean, and that's a great point. Was it necessary? I mean, yeah, it was great. We saw it. I know. Once again, folks, I know this is a fictional story. In my mind, this happened in real life, and there's consequences to it. But was it worth it? Were those few clones that he murdered, was it worth it? Did it change anything? Luke? Was it the smart choice?
Well, it was a necessary choice for the continuity of the canon.
True.
But I mean, she knew she was unleashing chaos. She knew it wasn't going to be controllable.
Yeah.
But like you're getting at, was it helpful in the end?
Yeah.
I don't think it was, but we don't know how else they would have gotten off the ship, or what the story would have been if the ship continues on to Coruscant like we were all anticipating and expecting. But that decision was out of her hands when she lets him go. She knows it's going to be an uncontrolled reaction in circumstances. And in the end, I guess the way it played out, we can't say that he helped her. I mean, especially when he tried to basically leave her there to die. I mean, that certainly isn't very helpful. But I like, we talked about last night, the way it played out. We knew, knowing all these characters are going to survive, like they have to do something tricky and creative with what's going on, because we all as viewers know that fact already. So there has to be more interesting things to chew on about it. So like this, to wonder if it was the right decision in the end.
Well, let me say this. There was a moment where we see all the clones. We see the shuttle, right, that they're going to steal, and then we see all the clones. They come out. There was a moment where I was like, Maul's going to show up, and for a moment I thought there was a possibility that he may have in turn, saved Ahsoka. Just out of like, we're even. But I was less like, I'm giving him too much credit. He's a very selfish man. Of course, he's going to take the way out and save himself. But for a second there, I thought, wow, how crazy would that be if we see Maul jump down and just use one of those giant just force pushes and pushes them all down, and he takes the shuttle, but they get away in that Y-wing or whatever. There was, I don't know. I have a little hope for Maul in these moments. Holly, I know you were feeling the same thing.
Well, yes. Of course.
Come on.
That's what I initially thought. When Ahsoka was like to Rex, I have an idea. It's a good one, I promise. I was like, I see what's happening. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything
No
that
idea.
was coming. Phrasing.
It was a terrible plan, by the way.
It wasn't a good one.
Bad plan.
I was like, look, to Michael, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
She's going to make this plot to kind of, in a way, sacrifice herself so that Rex can go, and that they don't think that Rex has committed treason against the Empire for trying to help Ahsoka. But then right before she's about to get executed by all the clones, Darth Maul is going to come down, and he's going to do the Force thing on the ground. Everyone's going to fall down, and he's going to get away, inadvertently saving Rex and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen, and I was wrong.
You were wrong, and it was not a great plan. at least try to put on the shtick a little longer. You know, I felt like he just easily gave up. No, it wasn't very convincing. No, you don't understand. Technically, she's not a Jedi, you know, and for a while she hasn't been. I was like, Rex, come on, put on some acting chops here, my friend.
I guess he did just have brain surgery to have a chip removed, so there might be some residual.
You're ridiculous. Some side effects to the Force surgery or whatever we'll call it that was prescribed in that moment. Yeah, yes. I don't know. There was just a glimpse of hope there I had from Maul to say, wow, you know, there's something there, but why, I don't know. He just sometimes has some of those qualities where I just am rooting for him in the moment. You could do some good, right? But
he'd be a great ally. Jory said when Ahsoka cuts a hole in the floor of their lightsaber using the Force to do so was pretty sweet.
There's some wicked stuff that we've never. I mean, yeah, the Force pull was cool, but like he said, like jamming the sabers into the floor and using the Force to spin them to cut a hole was crazy.
I actually didn't catch that. I saw her go. Well, I saw the circle thing happening, but I didn't catch how it happened until I watched it the second time.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But that's the moment where I think, Colin, you probably agree, is where things were kind of being drug out. Like, we send the stormtroopers down, now we're sending them back up. And it's like, okay, like how long are we gonna, do this kind of tug of war seesaw? Yeah. No, so that I think is the part where it kind of drug out. But I do like that they spent a little more time on an escape because it doesn't happen very often in Star Wars. But anything else about that kind of that first half, 3/4 that you guys found interesting? I mean, it kind of.
I have something.
Yeah. I mean, please. You don't have to ask. You don't have to raise your hand. This is an open floor.
Yeah, I think something else that we didn't really talk about, well, a little bit since I'm on a Maul kick, classic me.
Yeah.
Can we talk about for a second how he just, like, when he's causing chaos, he's, like, kicking some serious ass again and, like, doing all the crazy stuff, and he just, like, keeps coming back into these scenes, like, I feel like more powerful than he was the last episode. Like, he literally ripped the hyperdrive apart.
That was an insane moment.
Like, he tore the whole thing apart. He tore it apart.
Yeah. No, he navigated his way clear of the hyperdrive area there, and with no weapon, and used just the Force pretty much. And then, that was impressive. I was surprised that he was bringing down the whole ship. I mean, I guess that's what it took. And I mean, Luke, is he thinking, if I get to Coruscant, I'm screwed because Palpatine's at his strongest, right? Or Sidious is at his strongest right now, and I don't know I have no allies there at all.
Yeah, I think at that point he's pretty sure, his initial plan of maybe Ahsoka will help me take down Anakin and or Sidious. Okay, she's not on board with that whole scheme, so I don't want to go anywhere near Coruscant right now. Like, that is not the place to be.
Yeah,
as a Force wielder. Probably the last place you want to be. So he just wants to lie low, get out of there, bide his time, and just do his criminal underworld thing.
Yeah.
Because that's lucrative enough for him, and as long as he doesn't make too much noise, he probably won't get too much attention from Sidious, Palpatine. So I think that's where his head is there, and I think, that I don't like debating like whether or not Force powers that get exhibited are necessary and or possible, because there's like two sides of the Force within Star Wars. I think one is the sort of philosophy, religious, moral aspect of it that I think we spend a lot of time talking about, and then there's it's a storytelling tool side of it too. Like it's a way for characters to problem solve using it. So when he does stuff that's pretty intense that we haven't seen many people do with the Force, like, I'm okay if that's what the story needed. The story needed that the Force to be a tool to move the plot along in this point.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm not one of those people, and I know there's a lot out there who are like, well, when did they learn the technique of doing? It's like he let the Force flow through him. He had the dark side anger.
Yeah.
And that's how it came out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nettie said the moment between Rex and Ahsoka was really well done.
Yeah.
I'm guessing not to put words in his mouth, but
Speak for Nettie.
I'm speaking for him. When she takes his helmet off and he's very emotional underneath.
Oh, a tear. I mean, he's shedding for his brothers. Just like, I know what has to be done. Like, him and us. I mean, yes, he sets it to stun. He absolutely does. But I don't think holistically thinks that, that's going to solve any problems. I think we're going to have to take them down. They're all going to have to die. So yeah, he's shedding a tear for all of them. One single tear. That was a great moment. She takes his helmet off, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was super
very
cool.
intimate,
Yeah, that was super cool. And Caleb's right. Like, we like I said, we don't see that kind of power much. We did in Starkiller, which is technically kind of Legends now.
Yeah, he said Maul is just a beast. Destroying the hyperdrive was the most raw display of power since Rey electrocuting the transport and Starkiller pulling down a destroyer.
Yeah. Another moment where I thought was just, you guys are going to make fun of me, just really raw Sam Witwer was when Ahsoka's coming at him. He's defenseless. Other than that, how do you call a former Sith Lord defenseless on the other Force? Yeah, that's stupid. When she comes at him with the saber and swipes at him, I mean, she was there to behead him in that moment. It seemed, and he uses this push so forcefully, and Sam Witwer just screams. I thought that gave me chills. More than even, Ahsoka with the Star Destroyer. I was like, wow, that scream came out of somewhere else that it didn't even sound like Sam Witwer. But I love that. Nettie giving Holly a shout out for speaking eloquently. I sure as hell don't get those shout outs, but
you guys have heard me on other podcasts. I'm not actually that eloquent, but thank you.
No, you totally are. So yeah, it was nice. We talk about echoes all the time, taking a little bit from Legends stuff and Starkiller and taking a little bit maybe from Rey in that moment. And it was funny, like Rex holding her back. Like it's like the Force is like dragging her out with this thing and he's like holding onto her. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, that was a really awesome scene. Thank goodness for the droids. I'm glad that they got, they had a really huge part in this moment and paid the ultimate price.
Luke, last night when we podcasted, you asked me what I thought of the droid that was more Chopper-esque. And
yes.
I think this episode, the droid still made me laugh because there's that moment where Ahsoka has the bad plan and Rex is like trying to convince them to not execute her.
We're calling it the bad plan.
The bad plan. Yeah. I don't know what else to call it. The bad plan. And she keeps like looking over at the droids to see if they're doing getting what they need to do. Yeah. And they keep shaking their little droid heads. And then I was like, that's so great. Like I just had to laugh. But then the one droid, I don't remember his name, her name. The one that was like Chopper. It literally
name. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we don't need to give the droid a gender.
Yeah.
It literally like threw its little arms up in the air like Chopper does.
It did. Like trying to say, hey, we're good to go. Yeah. Or wave to her or whatever.
Aww.
Yeah. No, that was awesome.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Anything else about that moment? I mean, we probably talked about that opening scene for the first half. I mean, it was a lot of the episode. It was a lot of it, but let's talk about, the crash land. They don't name this moon. Luke, did I miss it? I don't believe they named this moon at all.
Yeah, not that I caught.
So, and Holly asked, is that where we find Rex in
Rebels?
In Rebels? Who knows?
Yeah, my first thought was when you kind of look at the planet from afar, it kind of looks more like a desert planet or a moon, like whatever it was. And I was like, oh, well, maybe what's going to happen is this ship is going to crash. So maybe it crashes here, and then Ahsoka and Rex just decide to lay low. But I guess that doesn't really make sense, though, because Rex has the other clones, like Wolf and I forget, in Rebels, the other guy that's with him.
Gregor?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
They're all together. So I guess it wouldn't really make sense that he stayed there and suddenly these other clones showed up.
Well, maybe that's a story for another series, right? Like, I kind of hope that it isn't where he is, and that him and Ahsoka do have to go out and do some things, and it's necessary for them to split up because they have different missions that they need to accomplish to assist maybe with the Empire. And then, I don't know, maybe Ahsoka gets knee deep in some crap, and Rex, can't contact her anymore, and then they've lost touch. But maybe there's a moment where he says, I got to go out and find my brothers. I know there's more of us out there that have overcome this tragedy. I think that would be cool.
That's what I want to know. What happens
The
next?
Diary of Rex,
Aw.
Rex's diaries. I don't know. Something like that, right? Luke, would you like to see, a little side project with Rex and maybe Ahsoka together and they split up? I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely seems like comic book material.
Yeah.
Because they can pick up threads so much more easily there, and we get a lot more, those little side stories that fill in the gaps in a nice way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to see it on on a television series or movie anytime soon.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, Nettie asked, how or when did those other clones get their chips removed? Or did they?
Yeah, it was a ruse the whole time.
I don't know if he said it like that, but that's how I said it for him.
That'd be
he
crazy.
gave me permission, so.
Yeah, or did they malfunction,
I don't know.
like kind of like Fives and Rex a little bit? Yeah, or did they remove them and no one knew? I don't know. It'd be an interesting story to tell. I think Luke's right. Maybe like a comic series or something that we can kind of see them going on adventures that could be really epic. Yeah.
I don't know. Do we have any comics just like about the clones?
I can't think of like any canon stuff. I think they've had so much attention in the Clone Wars. I don't think they've really given them a ton of airtime, page time outside of that. I don't think so.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But I don't actually know that the other if Rex didn't figure it out soon enough to remove his chip, but he knew enough to tell Ahsoka to go find Five so that she could understand what was going on to help him. I don't know that the other clones would have had that intuition to remove their own chips either.
Well, there's some of them. I'm sure others knew about it. I mean, maybe in Rex's closest, group, like friend group that he trusted the most. I don't know.
I just think it's strange that like others maybe would have, but Rex wouldn't have.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe that's just me.
I don't know. Those are small details, but you have to wonder, like, how does he meet up with them?
Here's the thing with Star Wars is that things that you're like, well, that's just a small detail. I don't know. In 5 years, they're going to come back out. It's going to come back, and it's going to be like, that was not a small detail.
It absolutely could. It absolutely could. So the starship, crashes, and we see the Y-wing. I think it was the Y-wing that Rex commandeered with Ahsoka, and it's parked right in front of it. And Rex has like a pack on. Even looks like a camping pack almost. He's got like a bed on there and stuff. Like, it seems like they'd been there several days. I'm assuming they buried a lot of clones. It wasn't just what we saw in that moment, but they've been there a while. Luke, what sticks out to me in that moment was the music. It was completely different from anything we've heard. It almost had a man. I don't know if anyone watched Man of Steel, like the newer Superman movie, but it had that kind of feel, just like hope. But like it was gritty. It was dark. There was like really dark synth in there. That sticks out for me. And obviously there's great imagery. But what did you feel in that moment?
Yeah, I think the music has been outstanding throughout the arc. Really, the last two episodes I mentioned last night, I could watch that last episode with my eyes closed because it just sounded beautifully, and you could get the emotion of the episode in the sound, in the music, and in the sound design and everything. And I think this one largely has that quality as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like you're right. There was definitely like the sorrowful situation that they were in with Order 66 having happened. The galaxy transitioning to this despotic rule, and so much of the 501st that Rex and Ahsoka cared for and respected, and received that care and respect back until the Order 66 flip.
Yeah.
They're processing through all of that tragedy, and trying to still pay their respects to these clones even after they've passed. And I think it's a nice continuation of the bridge scene from the last episode,
Yeah.
where Rex just talks about the existence of the clones and why, how they only exist because of this war. But what does that mean to only be bred for that war? And are you really that missed when you're gone, if that's all you're there for? But at least, with Ahsoka and with Rex surviving on, they'll kind of carry these clones with them moving forward.
Absolutely. And all the fam listening, I want you guys to throw in the chat, what did you think of that moment? Anything specifically that stuck out to you that's going to probably be ingrained in your mind forever? I'd say those 30 seconds of that show are it's the best of Clone Wars, in my opinion. And so throw in the chat what you really liked about it, and we'll chat about it here. But
I'll tell you what I liked about it.
That's what I was going to come to you next, Holly.
I really liked the imagery. I liked the graves with the clones and how the helmets were the grave markers. And awesome. The first thing that I thought of when we were watching it is I was like, that's what we see in The Mandalorian with all the trooper helmets.
Now they're on pikes, they're stabbed through the helmet, but that imagery kind of ties it in, right?
And then right after watching the Clone Wars, we put on the documentary.
Oh, that's a whole nother
Mandalorian
conversation.
One. But
holy cow.
It's funny because in part of that documentary, Dave Filoni actually talks. There's a whole conversation between him and Jon Favreau about how Filoni thought it would be so cool to do that with the helmets in The Mandalorian, and then all of a sudden here it is again in Clone Wars. And I just feel like you really get like a sense of the things that like these are people making it, and if they think something looks cool, they're gonna use it. And so I kind of like that.
He says he said it reminded him of Apocalypse Now, right? Yeah. He's like that. It's reminiscent of that, and he's absolutely right. Like I could not have described it better, and that kind of had this feel as well. And you're right, the panning down the line of helmets, and then we stop on Jesse's helmet, and I was just like, wow, like cut that scene out, put it on my wall. Like that's epic. It sums up Order 66, the entire series. Like ultimately, like we created these humans, and this is where they are now. And ultimately they all will be, not just this part of the 501st, but like the clones are seen as inferior to recruits and people they kidnap later on in the First Order, right? So like, and the Empire phases them out too, and they discard them. So
I think it's really cool to compare that Mandalorian stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's almost the same image, but the feeling and the message is so different.
Yes.
So different.
With the helmets being impaled and bloodied on spikes versus marking a grave that took time to dig by hand and a mark of respect. I think the other image that really stands out to me is Ahsoka in the robe with her hood up.
Yeah.
It's sort of the classic kind of pensive Jedi look with your hood up, and it is much like or reminded me of the Rebels finale.
Yes.
You see that same image of her hooded and standing and kind of concentrating, thinking deep thoughts about what's past and what's about to come.
You know what else it reminded me of? It reminded me of Anakin.
Why?
Just I don't know. Just the way she was poised with her hood up. It took me to him on Mustafar. Didn't he have a hood up there and you see him cry? I don't know. It just echoed Mustafar and Anakin for me. And you're right, Rebels too. Like, I was like, is that the same depiction of Ahsoka we see in Rebels? It seemed like it. But yeah, and that whole moment too, like this star freighter, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, crashes, right? And I'm sure that sends a distress call to someone else, some other unit, someone's going to come and check this out. Rex and Ahsoka stick around for what seems days to bury the dead. It's just like, you know what? Yeah, we're on the run, but like, we're not worried about that. We're going to make sure, we knew, to the core who these people were, and they were jeopardized, and they deserve better than this. So we're going to stick around regardless of what else happens. We're going to make sure that they're treated right, no matter what the cost. I thought that was freaking awesome. Because there's no way it was like 10 minutes later and they stuck around and buried everyone. There's just no way. And then we see, the environment change. And for a second, I'm like, are we on Hoth?
That's what I thought.
What the hell's happening? And then you see the cruiser, or what? Star Destroyer. I want to call it a Star Destroyer, but I don't know why. Covered in snow. You see snow troopers, you see probe droids, and you see some stormtroopers. And I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my God. I never expected Clone Wars to advance in time. I was like, wait, it did in Rebels, but we had that kind of where are they now moment in history. But it blew my mind, and it looked just like Rebels. The stormtroopers looked just like Rebels. It tied in so nicely. And the way they introduced Vader, you just see his feet walk past those stormtroopers. I was like, oh my God, he's searching for Ahsoka. So he walks up to the ship and brushes off a saber he finds in the snow and lights it. And above flying is remind me of the name. It's the owl-like.
Morai. Luke,
Morai.
is that correct?
The condor. I think that's what they call him.
Condor.
Do they not call them condors?
He's a convor.
Convor. What did I call it?
It is, and I didn't get a chance to look it up ahead of time. But yeah, it's such a symbol that we come to associate with Ahsoka now.
Yeah, and it's just genius writing, because we don't all understand what. I mean, we understand Morai as a symbol of the light. If you're familiar with the Mortis arc and all that story with the father, the son, and the daughter, we see Morai. I'm going to call him Morai.
I think that's what it is.
Okay. We see Morai with the daughter. We also see Morai with Ahsoka at times, and she says that Morai protected her. I don't think we fully understand what that means or what they experienced together, but how genius to just put that creature in there in that moment and make it the most confusing thing in the Clone Wars, and probably the most debated thing, in Star Wars. So I got to come to you, Luke. I tried to read a couple articles today. I see some people saying, "Oh, clearly Vader knows she's alive. He lit up the saber and he sees the Morai, and of course he thinks she's alive." I disagree, but I want to hear what you have to say about it. What does that moment mean? What is Vader experiencing?
I took it as he thinks she's dead. Yeah. Based on his reaction in Rebels, which I just watched that episode where they get in that dogfight, the Ghost Crew and Vader in his tie. And I think his exact words when he sort of feels her through the Force, because her and Kanan are kind of using the Force to try to, resist him in the dogfight and survive the dogfight.
Yeah.
And I think he says the apprentice lives, I think is his line there.
Lives.
So I think this was why Vader thinks she's dead to begin with, that for him to say that in Rebels. So that's how I took it, that this was a nagging question in his mind. Took him a while maybe to track down the crashed Star Destroyer, because there were, other things going on when you become a Sith Lord and you're adjusting to a burnt body and all that in the new armor.
Yeah.
So he eventually gets around, tracks down, this 501st Star Destroyer that went missing, and I think he thinks she went down with the ship at that point.
Holly, we know at this time, and it's another question. How long ago? How far after did this happen? A year? A couple of years? We know Vader is out there hunting Jedi. We know he's got his little minions Why do I forget what they're called?
Little minions.
Not his minions, but
Inquisitors.
the Inquisitors. Why do I forget that? So it's
Little
like,
minions.
how many Inquisitors did I slay in
I'm
Law
just
and Order?
thinking of like Despicable Me now, and Darth Vader actually minions.
That actually would be really a funny parody.
The crossover of the century.
Yeah, I'd be down to watch that. But we don't really know how much time has passed then. But Holly, you read some of the articles too of people thinking that this clearly showed that, of course, he knows she's alive. What do you think?
I think that to him, when he found her lightsaber, he was like, okay, she's passed. But I can understand how some people can be interpreting it differently.
Yeah.
Because I mean, her owl is still there, and so if you think about that, I don't think if she had passed in that spot, I don't think the owl would just be sticking around.
Yeah.
But I don't know. As far as I don't know. I just think at that point, to me, he does think that she's dead. But I do think that something really cool about this community and how many, different perspectives there are is that people can say, to me, this indicates X, Y, and Z, and they're not wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not. There's no Star Wars here. Hey,
no
Holly.
Star Wars.
No, I'm not saying they're wrong. I just have a difference of opinion, and that's okay, right?
That's fine. That's what we're here to talk about.
Absolutely.
Nettie said nobody expects the Imperial Inquisition.
Never. And here's what else is great about it. So you talk about the Mirai, let's call it the owl, so everyone knows what we're talking about.
Okay.
In my opinion, I almost feel as if Mirai is protecting Ahsoka in this moment by being there in this moment. The bird, the owl, knows that she's being hunted by Vader, and in that moment, if he or she is present in where she died, it's almost as if the owl is protecting her in her grave. That's how I took it. And Vader sees it and says, "Why would this creature leave her side if it's her true protector? Why would it be here in this moment?" And he finds the saber. The other question, though, I have is Ahsoka dropping the saber and saying, like, I'm done with the Order. I'm done. I'm just letting go. And I'm going to go off and just be something different, Or is this actively, I'm leaving this here so they think I'm dead and they won't pursue me? Or is it both? Ollie?
Oh, me again?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of both. When I watched it the first time, I was like, she is doing that to kind of be like, I know enough now to see that this is going to turn into a witch hunt for the Jedi.
Yeah.
And I am not going to be tracked down. I feel like there is still work that I can do. I survived this for a reason.
Yeah.
I still think that she would say, the Force brought me here and let me get to this point.
Yeah.
I need to keep going.
Yeah.
And so I felt like when I watched it for the first time that she dropped the lightsaber to just be like, here's evidence that I didn't get up and walk away from this, because what Jedi would leave their lightsaber behind,
Yeah.
But the more that I watched it the second time and now we're having this conversation, I do think maybe it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because I think, I mean, just the symbolism there of her just very slowly staring at her lightsaber and then letting it like roll off of her hand.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Luke, at that moment, I mean, is it purposeful? Is it a diversion because she knows she's going to be pursued later? Or is it, just kind of a, that's me letting go of everything and going off into the sunset just to be alone and to go into hiding and find another purpose?
Yeah, I don't think in that moment she's thinking that long term.
Yeah.
I think it's a continuation of some of the things she talked about in the Martez sister arc.
Yeah.
Sort of dealing with her feelings about what the Jedi ideally are.
Yeah.
And what they are in the galaxy at present, and practice, that doesn't necessarily line up with their ideals, and her struggle with that, and the reason that she kind of walked away is the gap between the Jedi in practice and the Jedi ideally. So to me, I think it's just like disgust and sorrow at the failing of the Jedi to avoid the Clone Wars and to avoid the outcome of Order 66 and Palpatine's takeover. And it's realizing that the path forward has to be a different way. That this order is gone, and I need to find a new path. And I think it jives nicely with where we see her at the beginning of the Ahsoka novel, which I haven't read for a while. But in my recollection, that kind of the headspace we see her in here, I think lines up with where she is when that opens up.
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe we learn a little more about, because to me, it's almost just like she's broken in that moment. And it's not, I'm going to find another cause to join. It's, I am broken. And her hand kind of goes limp, and the lightsaber falls out of it as if like, I'm exhausted. I've lost so much. I lost probably my best friend. I lost all of these friends, of the clones, and everyone. I was taken from the Jedi, from my family, with the Jedi as a young. She has nobody. She has nobody. It's no different than the rest of the Jedi, or even some of the Sith, or the Inquisitors going and looking for Force sensitives. Like, she has nobody left, and it's almost just like I give up. Like Luke said, this isn't the way. This isn't the way. It's weird saying that, but yeah.
I know I had said on the last episode that I kind of wish that we had that just like moment of stillness where Ahsoka has a second to kind of meditate and reflect on what happened.
Yeah.
We got it a little bit, and Luke had said that be patient. It will probably come.
Yeah.
But now that I look back on it, yeah, I feel bad for Ahsoka for all the things that you just said. These are really trying times for her. But think about Rex. I mean, he had to turn against his own brothers. He knew that was the only way that him and Ahsoka would get out of it. And he also knew that these men didn't have, any other option to do other than what they were programmed to do in that moment, which was attack him for being a traitor.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like, I get it's all relative, but I just feel like poor Rex. The Clone Wars is all about the clones, and we didn't really, other than the moment between him and Ahsoka, where, he did shed a tear for all the clones, I feel like we didn't really experience that with him.
Well, and it's, the clones are so loyal to each other, and they, kind of like Ahsoka now, they only had each other. There were so many people that just kind of saw them as pawns in this big game. But they only knew that they had each other, and now he's lost so much of that company, but he also knows that there's thousands more out there that would shoot him on the spot.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's another story out there. It's just like, Obi-Wan's out there, I can't wait to see his series out there, just wrecked by everything that's happened, just the weight of everything on him. And you got Ahsoka out there, and you got Rex out there. They've just lost everything. I can't imagine. And I know, God, I said I didn't necessarily need an Ahsoka television series or animated anything, but I think I could see it in Cassian. I could see it in the Cassian Andor series. Luke, am I wrong? I mean, could we bring that in here and kind of flesh out some of that story?
We've talked in previous conversations about that time period being such a fertile ground to bring in so many fun and interesting characters. Ahsoka among them, and Saw Gerrera, and who knows how many other people, Lando, Han, in weird ways. Yeah, definitely a lot of possibilities there. I think it's surprising to me, and I'm sort of coming to terms with um, how much we've been talking about what does Vader think of Ahsoka's fate. It's such a big
Yeah.
interpretation that we've been chewing on here. When after the last episode, what we spent a while speculating last night is what is Ahsoka going to learn about Anakin's fate?
Oof.
And we didn't get any of that. We didn't
No.
get that perspective.
No.
So it's either just leave it to what you see in Rebels when that storyline picks back up, or there's maybe some stuff in the Ahsoka novel I don't remember about that perspective, about what she learned, what she knew
Yeah.
about what happened to Anakin. But it was such a big part of the earlier episodes of the arc that I thought we were going to get a piece of that
Yeah.
in this. And it was part of my like counseling to Holly last night was, wait, Holly, wait, you'll get a little bit more of that.
He lied.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we did it. That was not a promise not fulfilled. So I guess it was we just leave it to interpretation, or just pull from those other areas to kind of understand what Ahsoka knows or doesn't. But it was such a big thing about like her getting information that from Maul that he was going to turn.
Yeah.
And we don't ever really see her do much with that in the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so then here's a question.
Come on.
Since Michael was like, maybe an Ahsoka series.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather?
Oh, I hate this game.
No, it's a fun game.
Oh, it's a Star Wars version?
It's a Star
Okay.
Wars one.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather have an Ahsoka series take place after this season of the Clone Wars? So continuing on and seeing what she's going
know
through
what you're
immediately
asking.
after the Clone Wars. Let me finish.
The answer is the latter. I know what you're asking.
Okay, so Michael would rather have an Ahsoka series pick up after Rebels, and
Yes.
we find Ezra Bridger.
Yes, because here's why. This is what I was going to say after Luke spoke, is that to me, that tells me that she was so loyal to Anakin that she did not believe what Maul said. Did it leave her questioning for a moment? Yeah. But she saw what Maul did. Just she let him loose and he screwed him over. Like, why would you trust him? She tells that to Ezra Bridger. The dude is not trustworthy. Like,
Yeah.
don't mess with that dude.
Don't mess with him.
To me, that explains it all. It is nice, and I like that it's a little open-ended and it's a little open for interpretation. But to me, I would be okay if we didn't touch. I mean, I want it.
Phrasing.
If we didn't touch it. No, that's not okay. I would be okay with them just kind of leaving it there, because to me, she accepted that Anakin has passed. And I think she's mourning for everyone in that moment. And the 12 years or whatever it was that we had with these characters. And now I could have seen them doing like maybe a flashback, some of the highlight moments of like interactions they had, him calling her Snips or something, and her shedding a tear maybe for that. That would have been nice. But then that's so definitive. Like, yeah, she didn't believe Maul. Like, it's kind of nice that it's open for interpretation. Well, that's why we're having the freaking conversation right now.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
maybe if we do get an Ahsoka series or something
Yeah.
else with Ahsoka, and it
Yeah.
does take place where Rebels, it picks up where Rebels left off,
Yeah.
right? Maybe that is where we would get a little bit of those flashbacks into
Yeah.
things that happened before.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I'd like to know what the casual fam would like to see rather too. That post Rebels or post Clone Wars.
Sounds like another poll Brent's gonna have. to make.
Absolutely, Luke. What would you rather see? I'm curious.
That's a tough one, because it's easier to imagine getting emotionally invested in the story right after this,
Yeah,
because it would be taking place in a time period with characters and scenarios that we're familiar with, that we're already sort of invested in.
Yeah.
The Ezra stuff is such blue sky, unknown. We don't know where he is, what he's up to.
yeah,
That is post Return of the Jedi. So the sort of the rebellion is over for now. It's an area that we just don't know much about. It doesn't mean that there couldn't be great storytelling there,
Yeah.
if the right people handle it. and tell a great story. It could be powerful and great, but it's harder. It's harder for me to immediately gravitate to that because it is so much more disconnected from all the things I know and love more. Um, so, but at the same time, like new and totally different is exciting. So,
Yeah.
if you like really push me on it, I'd probably go continue to fill in the gap between Clone Wars and Rebels because I love all the nooks and crannies. You know, other people might feel like this time period is tapped, but I'd be all for that.
Yeah, me too.
All around.
It's
Phrasing all
so
around.
much, and I love it. No, and I was thinking, you know, for a moment, like if we're gonna flesh out that time period a little more, we always talk about this, like you risk kind of stepping into areas that, you know, maybe not conflict, but like maybe doesn't need to be told, and maybe that just needs to be kind of left. The comics, you know, dangerously get close to that sometimes. It's trying to throw in side stories and stuff. But what the Vader comic, what Luke is reading right now, the second line does so well. And I loved, is it regrets that Anakin's having? It kind of seems like that. And I would almost like to see Ahsoka kind of going through some of that as well. Like, what could I have done differently? Why do I just want people like brooding and like contemplating life all the time in Star Wars? I want Kenobi to do it. I want Maul to do it. I want Ahsoka. I want Anakin.
You're not even into emo. Holly and I have been trying to get you to listen to more emo.
Seriously.
Cut my wrist and black my eyes.
Michael's gonna go play his Hawthorne Heights album later.
'Cause my heart
Cry.
is in Ohio. Is that
It's
Hawthorne Heights?
It is.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's like very different from the last boy band conversation that we had. It's just
no,
like they're just two
the Jonas
different-
Brothers are not a boy band.
The
that
Jonas Brothers
conversation.
are a boy band.
They're not.
They
There is
absolutely are. What are they then?
They are just a pop group, like a rock group. I don't know what else to call
I'm
them.
sorry. I didn't realize that you are the king of the definition of the boy band.
Yes, there was a very specific time period for that, and it's over. And they are continuing on something else that's different, and I don't know what you call it.
The Jonas Brothers?
Yes.
They're continuing on with their boy band.
No, it's not a boy band. Somebody come and save.
God.
Thank you, Nettie. I couldn't agree. Backstreet was where it was at back in the day. But
I swear.
somebody put this to rest for me, too, guys. They are not a boy band.
Backstreet Boys?
No. Freaking J-Bros are not a boy band. They're something different.
Okay,
that was a fad in the late 2000s or the late 1990s and 2000s. And by the way, Luke, Short Circuit, a little fact check on my corner, was 1986. You were absolutely correct.
Ooh.
I just saw it like freaking 10 years later or something.
How did you know that? You just pulled that out of literally nowhere.
IMBD'd it last night because
and you just remembered it now?
Because we were talking about time periods, and I was like, I need to let Luke know. I love that you put big debate coming. So I got to warn people, Michael's hot on the boy bands right now.
There's like a delay.
I'm okay. I'm okay with the Jonas Brothers being like one step removed from boy band. I think
thank you.
One
Luke.
Direction is closer to the true boy band.
Thank
Okay,
you.
but why? Does it have to do with
Instrumentation
the number of,
sometimes.
Instrumentation is not a word. Does it
Yes,
have
it is.
Does it have to do with the number?
It's a word. Big debate. The Flying Casual fan, big debate.
Holly doesn't even know how to speak English, and Michael's the one who's bad at Mad Libs.
Wow, slam on me. No, it's the one brother that barely sings plays guitar. Kevin, yes. But none of the other boy bands, they play instruments. Even 98 Degrees was 3 people. They didn't play instruments. They had beautiful voices and beautiful bodies.
What?
And I can say that as a confident heterosexual male. That's what they were. They were great voices and great to look at. But
this is the way that you feel about Sam Witwer as well. Beautiful voice.
Oh, there's so much more to him than just a beautiful face and a voice. But no, it's that's what. Am I red? I'm always red. Mm-hmm. It's the lighting. I don't know.
I thought you adjusted the camera.
I tried. When you're this rouge, you can't do anything about it. But God, where were we?
I don't know.
I would take the latter time period. I think I would. I think there's more opportunity for more storytelling and less brooding like I want.
Yeah, what if it wasn't even an Ahsoka series? What if it was like an Ezra Thrawn series and then Ahsoka just happened to make an appearance?
When it's her and Sabine though out looking for him, I feel like it has to be so much of them and less Ezra, right?
Don't we miss Sabine?
Yeah,
I know.
I do. Too bad she's not around right now in this time period. But yeah.
Sad.
What, Holly? Did you answer the question?
Oh, yeah, 100% I would want to pick up
Not
right
the boy
after
band. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
right after the Jonas Brothers got back together in the year.
Right after I saw them in 2011
Okay.
at Nationwide.
Okay, anyway. No, I would definitely want it to pick up after Rebels.
Yeah.
Nettie said more Thrawn, please.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, okay, Thrawn is kind of like another, I know this is like not the Clone Wars anymore.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, get it
I'll
out.
finish this and then we can go back to Clone Wars. But Thrawn to me is kind of like Maul because he's like that bad character, but you want him around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's you have almost hope for him,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know. He's
It's-
terrifying.
Well, especially when you read his new canon stuff, like he has other interests. Yes, he serves the Emperor. Yes, he's trying to understand the Empire more, but he serves other interests, and he's there to protect his people. He just is. And so you always kind of wonder if there's another side to Thrawn, or if he'll come out and I don't know, change course. I don't know. It's a completely different canon story for him, so I have no idea. Luke, I mean, since we're talking about Thrawn, I don't know how we are, but
Oh, I brought it up.
Holly brought it up. Yeah, I don't know what my question was. What do you what do you think that it could, would you rather see like Thrawn and Ezra in a post Rebel series, or would it be Sabine and Ahsoka kind of out there looking for him?
Yeah, I think you have to have both sides of that. You'd have, one half of it would be Thrawn and Ezra's sort of side of things as the ones being searched for. Well, mostly Ezra being searched for, but they presumably end up in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Sabine, Ahsoka side as the searchers, as the seekers. So yeah, I think you definitely have to have both of those elements, and I think, there's space for that. Whereas Ahsoka was more of an supporting character in Rebels because you had the whole Ghost crew, but you've had certain people drop off. I don't want to be too spoiler heavy, but so there's room for Ahsoka to take a bigger role in the continuation of that story, bigger than what she was in Rebels. Although she was a huge role in Rebels, but it wasn't as much screen time as the Ghost crew. So you're imagining this series having much more just Ahsoka on the screen.
Absolutely. So
I got us all messed up.
no, that's okay. Sometimes you gotta get that stuff out. You can't hold back. You gotta talk about it. And then we're live. It's like Bill O'Reilly. Screw it.
We're doing it live.
We do it live. If you have a thought, you bring it up, and I expect everyone to do that. But I mean, did this feel, Luke, like the proper conclusion that Clone Wars deserved? And I know we're not Star Wars content creators here, but like, do you feel like it got its due, that we brought it back, that it truly was saved?
Yeah, this arc was cinematic in every sense of the word. It was huge. It just in terms of quality, I think it got what it deserved. They poured a lot into this. You can tell in the acting performances and in the visuals, and I just keep coming back to the music over and over again, borrowing elements of Star Wars that we know and are familiar with, so it feels like Star Wars music, but it's its own unique thing too, for this arc, that sort of, I think, stands alone. Could you have imagined, like, again, I used the word cartoon the other night, which at its base level you could call this, but it's so much more than that in the level of, like I said, quality and care that goes into it. I have a lot of appreciation for what they've done, and like I said before, I don't think there's any endings. We've talked about so many different directions these storylines, these characters can go. We're gluttons for
Yeah.
all the canon, and we eat it up in all the different ways that it comes. So I feel satisfied because I don't try to put too much um, pressure on endings. So I feel pretty satisfied just with the quality of the production that we received, and it made me react emotionally, and it felt powerful.
Absolutely. Holly, you have a lot of Clone Wars to catch up on.
I know. It's weird. I'm just like starting backwards.
Yeah, that's okay. Like
I mean, that's the Star Wars way.
everyone's Star Wars story is different. Like I got started, like I told you guys, with episode 3. Like when I was a teenager. Like you fall, it's the Force brings you to Star Wars in a particular moment for a reason.
Yeah.
Not everyone was around in 1977, and that's why I can't. I saw it today. I'm so freaking sick of people hating on people about what they like about Star Wars. I freaking hate it. I just want to go on a tirade. I don't spend a lot of time on that today, but how excited I was on Star Wars Day, a celebration of a franchise that we love. So that obviously there was way more communications about Star Wars today than normally there is. And I'm digging into this stuff, and it just makes me so freaking mad. If you pick up Clone Wars at season 7 and you love it, that's freaking great. You don't need someone coming in, some freaking 55-year-old guy coming in and berating you because his daddy took him to Star Wars in 1977 when he was freaking 5 years old, and I guarantee he doesn't remember a damn minute of the movie. It just pisses me off. I saw so much of that today. Star Wars was posting about, the sequel, and it's on freaking Disney Plus now. And there's all these people going out of their way to just throw shade and talk really shitty to people. And it pisses me off so much. Get a life and just like Star Wars. You don't need to go out there. I know people beat this dead horse, and I haven't done it in a while. I haven't done it really since Rebel Watch. But today, it lit a fire under my ass, and it pissed me off. But just... Yeah. Right, Luke, am I wrong?
One element of this that I've seen that you reminded me of, and I didn't read the article, but I've seen some headlines like the prequel sucked and here's why Clone Wars is better.
Yeah.
And that to me is really frustrating sentiment. And I think it's along the same lines of what you're getting really upset about is like I have to tear something else down to build this thing up. And that is like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it just makes it not fun. Like, I don't know. People's lives have been ruined from this crap. And it's just, I don't know. It's so, I haven't said anything new anyone else has said. And this isn't a freaking clip to post. It's not for someone to come out and give me crap. It just pisses me off because people are just having a good time and they're confident enough about what they like enough to go out and celebrate it publicly or to post about it, which is like what we're doing. And I honestly couldn't give two shits if someone doesn't like what we're doing. I just don't care. I got to Star Wars in episode 3 and it hooked me and I loved it. And I was like, oh my God, this is an epic story of good and evil and loss. And I need more. It doesn't matter. I don't care that you just happened to be alive in 1977 when Star Wars came out. I just don't care. You're no better than my nephew who's 6 years old who likes the Clone Wars. You're no better than him. So get off your freaking high horse and come back down to reality with the rest of us and just enjoy it. If you don't like it, go on to the next thing. Watch something else. I don't care. But I just saw so much of that today, and it just pissed me off all over again. I feel like it's 2017 all over again, and the freaking Last Jedi came out, and I was pissed off. Just stop spreading hate. I just can't stand it. Anyway.
I saw some girl post on Facebook today, and she's like, oh my God, enough with the Star Wars. I hate Star Wars so much. And someone else commented on her post and she was like, oh my God, same. I told my doctor that I know that I am super pregnant, but I better not be induced on May the 4th. What?
Oh my.
What?
You know what? Nobody cares, and no one cares about your pregnancy
Yeah.
or that you make it induced on Star Wars Day.
I
They
was
just
like,
don't.
I was like, well, I don't like seeing all your posts about these giant murder wasps and how you feel like 2020
Yeah.
is freaking Jumanji.
Oh, God. I saw someone say, oh, my God, it makes 2016, 17, 18, 19 seem not so bad. I was like, just shut up. I don't care. Stop talking about negative crap so much. God, maybe it's the isolation, guys. I don't
Has
know
to be.
what's
We got
gotten
that
into me.
isolation brain.
It just, I don't know. It's right now. I get The Last Jedi was divisive and stuff, but like right now, this is like a celebrated like time in Star Wars where I feel like so many people are on the same page, and yet StarWars.com posts on their Facebook that Rise of Skywalker's now on Disney Plus, and freaking all these people go out there and just they have a need to yell at a Facebook page and get 20 likes from some freaking people who agree with them who probably have no life. Like I can't stand it. It makes me so upset. Anyway, that's my rant. It may pop up again. I don't know. We'll see.
Phrasing.
Anyway, but so Holly, I cut you off.
I don't even know what I was
didn't
saying.
even mean to. I'm so sorry. It happens. I could remove this sweatshirt right now. It's really warm.
I turned the heat up.
That's what it is. Holy cow. We got lights. You got the heat on. I'm going to crack a window. So you came to a little later, and I know you had some apprehension in the beginning. I was like, hey, Holly, I know to ask anyone, you know, whether they like the property or not, to come into a show and critique it on a weekly basis with us, being, you know, 6 seasons late.
Oh, yeah.
That's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And for you to openly say at times, guys, like, you could easily just say, guys, I love it. It's the greatest thing ever. Give us 20 likes on our YouTubes. Like, you could do that. But, like, you also, like, are going into it with fresh perspective. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you've been honest about how you feel about episode upon episode. So that wasn't easy. I asked a lot of hey, give it a chance. I know you're so behind, and we're not going to ever get caught up. But what after seeing this whole season, what'd you think?
Well, Michael, I don't know. I
Did
feel
I
like
got us in a different
I know.
direction.
I'm like, wait,
I'm
what are we
sorry.
talking about? Well, I kind of feel like I have a little bit of imposter syndrome because I like came in and I'm like, I'm going to talk about the Clone Wars,
No.
but I've only seen half a season. But I don't
You've seen a full season.
I don't really. I feel like from where I came in, I think the entertainment value was good. The music was great. I think the actual animation was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think the show had great animation. I love that. It felt very real for a cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like I can give a good answer to that until I actually watch
Yeah.
the rest of it and see how the prior seasons really tie in with this and brings everything together, because
Yeah.
right now I'm just kind of piecing it together with what I know from Rebels and what you guys have told me and what people in the group have said. So
Yeah.
I feel like I need to really watch the other seasons first. And I'm sure there are some people like, oh my God, this girl, she hasn't even watched half of
Such
this.
a poser.
But I want to finish the series
Yeah.
before I can truly answer that.
But what's been great, you've picked up on like a lot of the same, just like the purpose for this. Like we talk about just the message that's getting out in the episode, and you don't need to go, you know, and that's why it's made for kids, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't need to remember what happened 5 seasons ago. Now a lot of us do, because we're like, oh yeah, what was that little detail? His name was Fives. Like it's like not a lot of kids are going to remember that. They're going to remember the episode they're watching, you know, and the hope that there is. Now, at the end of this, did it seem very hopeful? Not so much. That was definitely, you know, an ending for a lot of fans, but each episode just, you know, there was a lot of hope in there, and that's what George said. Every episode of every Star Wars, no matter what it is, a theatrical release, cartoon, it needs to have hope. And it's nice that you can pick up on those messages, and it's great entertainment for kids, but there's a great message and a story there for them to enjoy and internalize, and they often probably don't even realize they're doing it.
Well, I think probably the bigger thing for kids, which I think that the Clone Wars does very well, is it really, you know, gets you right in the feels.
Yeah.
I think that that's probably more so what you remember. You might not remember like specific events that happened in like season 5, but
Yeah.
you remember how you felt
Yeah.
when you watched that season,
Yeah.
and you remember how you felt when certain things happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have two very distinct memories. They're very general memories of Clone Wars, but it began not on a great note. I mean, we talked about it, a lot of people have talked about it, but I remember walking out of that theater and being like, I have no idea what I just watched. I have no idea. Am I expecting a show or what, another movie? Like what? There's a little baby Jabba the Hutt. Like he wasn't that popular back then, you know, Baby Yoda. So I didn't know what to expect. And then when Clone Wars ended, it ended on such a weird note in season 6, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I felt like there was very trippy moments. So it began and ended kind of in very weird places. And so when Star Wars came out and created the hashtag Clone Wars saved, like I felt like they meant it. Like, hey guys, things didn't go down so well there in the end, and Dave didn't get a chance to finish this story as he wanted to, and we're going to give him that opportunity. Luke, do you recall those? You know, we all have Clone Wars on a pedestal right now, but there were some weird times, and from where it's come to where we are now, I mean, there's something to say there. I mean, I can't think of anything like it that has gone, that has its ups and downs and then ends on such a high note where we're just like, oh my God, one of the greatest properties in Star Wars.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to your gatekeeping rant earlier about there are so many, you know, of the deep and sweaty Star Wars fans who didn't latch on to the Clone Wars early on.
Yeah.
Me being one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Like you, I saw the movie in 2008 in the theater, and then I don't even think if I paid enough attention to know that a TV series was coming out.
Yeah.
Eventually I heard about it, and I didn't rush to catch up on it and to stay current with it. And it was only, you know, it was in my Star Wars sort of dark period too, that I've talked about, you know, maybe on my first appearance on the podcast, episode 2, way back when.
Yeah.
Is, you know, I had a lull in the post prequels, pre-Disney era where, you know, Star Wars wasn't a daily part of my life like it is now. And that makes sense with like not as much new content coming out, but you know, there was still the EU going on, and there was, you know, this animated series being launched, but the theatrical release wasn't indicative or representative of what it was going to become.
Yeah.
So it didn't latch us all right away, but then enough people stuck with it, and you start to hear whispers and, oh, you got to give it time. You gotta get through a whole season or two, and then you'll really understand where this is going, and how Star Wars it is, and how great the storytelling is. So there's so many people like that, and we shouldn't judge Holly coming to it later, or anyone else who is and is getting caught up and diving into it, because that's so great about the streaming era now, is to be able to do that and dive into things that you missed the first go around. And it was Netflix having the series that allowed me to do that. Yeah. Allowed me to dive in. If it was harder to obtain, if I would have to find the actual hard copy somewhere, I probably would have never, you know, got into the way that I am now. And now I've watched, like I said, I've watched at least every episode twice, a lot of episodes 3 and 4 times. And that's just in the past few years. That sounds like 16, 17. So, you know, there's so much enjoyment to be had with it, no matter when you come to it.
Absolutely. And I mean, Dave Filoni is a powerhouse in Star Wars now. And I don't know if anyone's got a chance to watch it. And I know Nettie was talking about the Taika Waititi movie that, you know, just got announced today, which made me kind of think of this. But there was the Mandalorian documentary, kind of the behind the scenes episode that aired today. And if you guys listen to this podcast, you know I love documentaries, whether they're about space or Star Wars or true crime. I love them. And so this is like my bread and butter. It's like it's got Star Wars, and I'm learning how the magic is made. And I love seeing the effects. I love seeing the behind the scenes, like doings, but I love getting in the minds of creators and seeing what these people are like, because in scripted environments, you know, you don't really know what you're getting. But like when we were at Celebration and to see Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau sit there and talk like they had been best friends since they were 12
forever.
and loved Star Wars, you know, every day since.
What
like
an experience.
it was so great. And in this documentary, I felt that as well. And to hear that Dave Filoni calling this show, or The Mandalorian, I should say, and experiencing this with Jon Favreau and all these directors, almost a Star Wars school where he feels he's continuing his education, it makes me love the man even more. He's so outside of his wheelhouse right now, and I love that. And he's challenging himself, and I think it's gonna create better stories. Even I think, you know, learning from other people, because what we learned is he started writing for King of the Hill, or drawing for King of the Hill. He did some of their animation. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I was drawing, you know, drunk guys in Texas or whatever. Like, that was really great work. I can't even remember where the King of the Hill is from. I think it's Texas. I'm probably wrong.
You might be right.
It's been a while, and then he was working on Nickelodeon at the time, and he was doing anime stuff, and gets a call from Lucasfilm Animation and thinks they're playing, like his friends are playing a joke on him. Like, there is no Lucasfilm Animation. Like, it just, the realness of that man and his love for Star Wars, like, please go watch this documentary. It's fantastic. And it makes me love this franchise even more. And I understand more about the Clone Wars. He goes through the whole process of like how he got into it. And that he's been an artist, you know, not so much a storyteller. That's kind of come later on. And he's learned, like, the first thing George said is like, well, there's no drawing. He's like, well, that's all. That's the only skill I bring here. He's like, we do it all with computers. It's like, oh my God, like, this man is still growing into this franchise. And I think the stories are just going to get even better. I mean, the Clone Wars was great, but like, I feel like that was just the beginning of this man's journey, and whether he becomes something bigger, I just want him to continue to write Star Wars stories, because the Clone Wars was fantastic, and that was within a little time period, right? The possibilities are endless for him in the future, and that's what excites me so much about everything that we're seeing coming out. And we even see a little bit, like Nettie said, about Taika Waititi. The dude's just kind of a quirky character. And
super quirky.
Freaking love it.
A little nutty.
Is he?
I don't know.
Yeah, probably, but that's okay. The thing we're not talking about Clone Wars again, but I don't want Taika Waititi doing like a Jedi film. I want him doing some spy stuff, kind of quirkier stuff like Thor Ragnarok was. I think that would be fantastic. But he's just got a quirky side to him that I feel like wouldn't maybe work so well with like the Jedi Order and how kind of structured it is.
You know, we could get another movie kind of like Rogue One was, where it's like the regular people feel.
That's what I want.
But doing like heroic things.
Absolutely.
I think that would be a really good venue for him to kind of explore in Star Wars.
And that's I was kind of bummed, because I thought he could do the Cassian series, and now maybe who knows? But I don't think he has much part of that, if any at all. But now we know he's making a film. Luke, we're off a Clone Wars tangent, but what should we expect from Taika?
Oh, I mean, based off of that season finale of Mandalorian, I think we're in good hands. And I've mentioned, I can't remember, I think I'm confusing the podcast recordings with some other like Skype conversations I've had lately, but I loved a lot of his comedy work.
Yeah.
Some of his like more indie movies, and What We Do in the Shadows is really hilarious.
Absolutely.
Sort of mockumentary type thing. So I love that kind of humor that he brings to the table, and I think he can weave it in to Star Wars. So I'm not feeling like you, were like he needs to stay away from the Force and Jedi.
Yeah.
Because he's quirky. I think there can be balance to that. Like we've talked about some of the comedic elements that sneak into these episodes, even in such a dramatic arc of Clone Wars, but there's still, you can pepper it in a sort of tasteful way. Yeah. That it's not out of place. So I think I'm all for him doing, whatever aspects of Star Wars he wants to run with, because I think he can find that balance
Yeah.
of, yeah, getting Taika Waititi in there, no, letting it's a movie he did. Like, you
Yeah.
want that. Like, why else would you get him if you don't want that? But you probably don't want like one of his early or like indie comedy type things
Yeah.
in the Star Wars universe, But I think he knows from what we've seen of his Mandalorian work that he can sort of thread that needle.
And I'll say this, he's very self-aware, and that comes across in the documentary, because he says he realizes he can be a little quirky with things, and obviously we talk about his track record and that kind of mockumentary kind of thing he does. He mentioned that he's so glad that he has Dave and John there to really reel him in sometimes,
Yeah.
which is great, because John Favreau, funny guy, Dave Filoni, funny guy, but like that's just kind of awkwardness coming out in them, because they're really nerds, and I love it. And so it will be a nice balance to have him have that experience already with those guys, and I'm sure kind of work from them and learn from them, and maybe bring them in to consult at times. But yeah, so that was really exciting stuff. So if you haven't watched that documentary yet, please
Check it
go
out.
do it. I'm gonna go watch it again, I think probably tonight, because it was so good. I just feel like I'm there. It's great. They could record, I don't know, their dinner conversations, and I would watch it. Well, hopefully they will. Maybe that could be some good Disney Plus content.
Didn't we get that in Chef?
Chef, yes, but I want him to be. I love Jon Favreau, and he's brilliant, and he's also a great mediator and host. But I want him to do Chef, but only talk about Star Wars. Their Star Wars episode was genius and amazing, and the whole time I was just like, let's just go live at Skywalker Ranch and live off the land. Yes, please, I'm down.
We'll be here a while.
Yeah, but so guys, so many exciting things to look forward to in Star Wars. It's just, this was a story. It's over now, and we now have other things to look forward to, and I can't wait. And I can't believe we got another season. Like, that's crazy. I think that's awesome that we got that opportunity to see the story through, and I wasn't disappointed at all. I mean, there was, you can pick it apart all you want, but nothing beats that clone helmet in the snow, seeing Darth Vader's reflection walking away.
Yeah.
That just summed up everything. The entire story, everything in that one moment.
Was that your favorite moment?
I think it was. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And it's kind of cool. It echoed what Dave Filoni posted on his Instagram with the helmet and seeing Ahsoka in there, and Vader's in the reflection there. He brought it all down.
Yeah.
He brought it all down.
Full circle.
Full circle. In that moment, it's cool too, because you're like, what's he grappling with there? Is it pure, I'm out to find the Jedi, or is it like in the Darth Vader second line? Is he grappling with things in this moment? Is he still getting used to those legs? Is he, questioning his decisions?
I will say this.
Yeah.
He looked like he was moving just fine on those legs.
He was walking pretty well in the
I
snow.
know he was.
Maybe some snow boots in
He
there.
was a little
some mods.
agile.
Yeah. But anything else, guys? I mean, I have exhausted my Clone Wars discussion, I think, and that's probably why the rant happened. I just got a little upset. But Holly, anything else? Any closing remarks?
I just want to watch all of it
Yeah.
and the things that I've missed.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll come back and I'll give
Yeah.
a quick summary of how I felt about the whole series.
No, and I think we could do some Patreon stuff too.
For sure.
We
We still have to do the Rebel
When
stuff.
you
So I
do a
don't.
Rebels discussion, we're going to
add
do
Clone Wars
a
to
Fallen
it.
Order discussion for Patreon. So you patrons listening, expect some stuff on there. Holly and I kind of got away from doing those special podcasts because we've been excited about the other big projects we're kind of doing with you guys and stuff. But I want to get back to that because we have great conversations sometimes. And now we have the studio. We just literally need to walk up the stairs and press the record button.
We need to put a fan in here.
And well, that's because you probably turned the heat up to 76, and I'm in a sweatshirt and shorts, which is kind of strange. But Luke, any closing remarks about Clone Wars? Any fond memories? Anything?
The best thing I can say about this latest season is that it just keeps me wanting more. It makes me want to go watch the movies again, and it makes me want to go rewatch the rest of the series again, and it makes me want to rewatch Rebels, and it makes me want to read the Ahsoka novel again.
Yeah.
So the fact that it is continuing to add fuel to my Star Wars fire, I think is the best thing you can say about it, because otherwise, if it came out and I didn't feel that way, it didn't drive me towards re-experiencing these other things and anticipating what's to come, then I think, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's done that, I think that's all you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, the end of the Skywalker saga, the end of Clone Wars, I mean, that's a lot of major Star Wars stories that are coming to an end. And it's Disney and Lucasfilm really need to challenge themselves now. And it's like, what's next? Like, have we exhausted all the stories from that time period? Maybe we have. Maybe that we're going in a completely different direction. Yeah, there's going to be some Rogue One kind of Cassian stuff, but what's next? I mean, some High Republic book stuff, but Taika Waititi is set to do a film. We obviously have an idea of what this is. Like, I can't wait to learn what new content we have coming at Disney Plus and the feature films. I'm glad to hear that they haven't kind of abandoned that, and they're coming out and telling us, no, we are dedicated still to doing feature films. That is Star Wars. It just is. So I'm really pumped about that. But yeah, guys, Clone Wars was freaking great. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think, Holly, we've got, we're probably going to go through it. Mm-hmm. You claimed you're going to watch Rebels again. But we're probably going to do Clone Wars at the same time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, guys, I loved it. I hope you did too. Now, I do want to say a couple things. I got a couple things of note. If you're watching and you like the conversation, you like what Flying Casual's doing, press that like button, Holly.
Press it.
Like I'm not one to ask, a lot of folks listening. I don't want to be a burden on anyone. If you like what you heard, you like what we're doing, press that like button. And I just want to challenge. We got people listening. Go in there and hit that subscribe button. If we could get up to over 100 subscribers, I mean, tonight, that would be wicked. That would be amazing. But like, if you haven't subscribed, guys, and you like what you're seeing, like, we put the podcast on there, but we're going to start doing some more stuff. Really going to dig into the comics. I can't wait to get Luke's thoughts on the second Vader line. We're probably going to talk about that and do some exclusive YouTube stuff. Obviously, trivia trials, but I want to break down the comics even more and share with you guys some of these stories in a shorter format. Maybe that you don't have the time, or comics can get expensive. It's not a cheap hobby, that is for sure, especially with weekly runs. But I'd love to give you some of those more stories and talk about them a little bit here on YouTube. So if you like what you're seeing, subscribe, hit the like button. I just ask you of that. And another thing, Holly, I want to show everyone here that the goods are actually here. I've got a couple of female small Flying Casual tees for our young heroines out there. And I want to do a little giveaway for non-patrons. I know that kind of stinks, but I want to do something for the non-patrons. So I know we've got a lot of folks that have families. They've got young children. Maybe you want to rock a Flying Casual tee. Now, the only thing I ask is that you take your favorite Flying Casual post, Holly, right? It could be Facebook. It could be Instagram, right? You can...
Like picture?
Anything. Picture, video... Content of some sort.
Your favorite Flying Casual content.
To share that, right? On Instagram and Facebook. You can share it on those platforms. Tag us in that share. And just share it with your friends. If you, I know you guys like Star Wars, other than Jory. Jory claims to not have any other nerd friends. But I know a lot of you guys have other nerd friends out there. And I just told this to Holly today. I love this community that we have. And I don't want it to change, but I want even more people to come celebrate it with us.
He wants it to grow.
I want it to grow, and that's not out of selfishness. I'm texting Wade today. I was texting Wade yesterday. It's like, I love communicating with these guys. I love the conversations we have. I know so much about you guys, and you obviously know so much about me and Holly. Maybe we share too much. But I just love our communications. I love our group. I love our family. I just want that to grow. I want to share those experiences with others. So I want to challenge our non-patrons here. I got a couple shirts I'd love to throw at you, to your young heroines. And I'm going to say they're smalls. So we are appealing to probably a very younger generation or a very small female.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
They're an adult size
They're
small.
an adult size small.
But they're very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
They're from our TeePublic
Absolutely.
site.
Absolutely. So that's I want to challenge everyone. If you're listening, you want a tee. We've got 2 to give away. So I don't ask for things often, Holly. I do this because I love talking about it, but I also love our group, and I want more people to share this experience because we're enjoying it, right?
Michael is a giver, not a taker, but in this situation, we get a little
taking a little bit.
give and take.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Anything else from the Brady Bunch here?
I got nothing. That was a great conversation.
It was great. It was sweaty at times, but
Literally.
very sweaty at times. But guys, if you like what you heard, like I said, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, go to the Facebook page, join the group. I see group with thousands of people interacting less than our group, especially like lately. We've been interacting like crazy. Really great conversations going on in there. So check that out. Interact with us however you can here on Flying Casual. But I don't think I have anything else.
That is it.
That is it, guys. Probably going to be another podcast episode coming Monday, so stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Go rewatch Clone Wars or celebrate Star Wars Day however you can. So we'll talk to you soon. See ya.